My dad destroyed my acceptance letter, so I found his old audition tape. Growing up, Dad never let me forget about his sacrifice. Every family dinner, every birthday, every time I so much as hummed a tune, he'd launch into the same exhausting monologue about his lost musical career. I was going to be a concert pianist, he'd say, dramatically gesturing with his third beer. Had real talent. Everyone said so, but then your mother got pregnant, and I had to give it all up. Our old upright piano sat in the corner like a monument to his martyrdom. Whenever I tried to play, he'd slam the lid down within minutes. Music doesn't pay bills, he'd snap. Trust me, I know. It's a dead-end dream that'll leave you broken bitter, but I kept practicing anyway. School music room after hours, my friend Sarah's house, the church basement when Father Martinez wasn't around. Music was the only thing that made sense to me, the only place where everything clicked. By junior year, I was good, really good. My music teacher, Mrs. O'Brien, started pushing me toward conservatory programs. You have something special, she'd whisper after class. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Senior year, I applied to Juilliard behind his back using Mrs. O'Brien's address for correspondence. When that thick envelope arrived with a full ride scholarship offer, I thought maybe, just maybe, this would finally make him proud. I showed him that night after dinner, hands trembling as I slid the acceptance letter across our scratched kitchen table. My mom's eyes went wide, reading over his shoulder. Dad read it silently, his face hardening with each line. The room felt like it was shrinking. Then he laughed, not his usual fake chuckle, but something cold and hollow. You'll never make it, he said, tearing the letter slowly into perfect strips. Music is a pipe dream. I should know. I had more talent in my pinky than you'll ever have. He tossed the pieces in the trash like confetti. I'm saving you from years of rejection and disappointment. You'll thank me someday. That night, I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. Something about his bitterness had always bothered me. Why would someone who almost made it be so determined to crush anyone else's dreams? I remembered the boxes in the garage, old stuff from Grandma's house that we'd never gone through. I crept out there with a flashlight, digging through dusty photo albums and Christmas decorations until I found it. A VHS tape labeled in my grandmother's handwriting, Tommy's Big Audition, 1987. I waited until Dad left for his shift at the hardware store the next morning, then hooked up our ancient VCR with shaking hands. The footage was grainy, the sound scratchy, but there he was, my father at 20, sitting nervously at a beat-up piano in what looked like a community center. And he was terrible. I mean, genuinely painfully bad. The piece was Fur Elise, something I'd mastered in 8th grade. His technique was sloppy, his timing was all over the place, and he kept stumbling over the simplest passages. The judges' faces said everything. Polite smiles barely masking secondhand embarrassment. One guy was literally checking his watch. When Dad came home that evening and launched into his usual "I sacrificed my dreams for this family" speech over reheated pizza, something inside me finally snapped. I calmly walked to the TV, inserted the tape, and pressed play without saying a word. The color drained from his face as his younger self butchered Beethoven on screen. Mom's mouth fell open. "Turn it off," he whispered, but I didn't move. When the painful 3-minute audition finally ended with scattered, unenthusiastic applause, I looked him straight in the eyes. "You didn't sacrifice your music career for us, Dad. You never had one to sacrifice. Music gave up on you 20 years ago, and now you can't stand that I actually have the talent you always pretended to have." His face crumpled like wet cardboard. 20 years of lies collapsed in those few seconds. Mom just stared at both of us, speechless. "You have no idea what rejection feels like," he finally whispered. "Actually, I do," I replied. "You've been rejecting me my whole life." 2 weeks later, I moved out with the money I'd saved from my part-time job at the music store. I'm starting at Juilliard in the fall. Sometimes the people who claim to protect you from failure are just trying to drag you down to their level.